is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel or the Abundance channel, wherever you're watching this from. And today we're talking about handling pressure like a pro athlete. So whether you're on the field, in the classroom, or just navigating life, these tips will help you stay calm and collected in all walks of life. Life is life, so we know that no matter what, we're gonna have to overcome challenges and roadblocks that come our way, and we wanna be prepared when that comes. I know we've all been in those high pressure situations in life, whether you're an athlete or just someone performing in your business. There has at least been a time in your life where you felt a lot of weight on your shoulders and feeling that you need to perform to a certain level. So no matter what, we know that pressure is going to come our way, and rather than avoiding it, we want to be able to manage it and control it the best we can. So these are my 3 tips on how to handle pressure like a pro. Number 1 is to focus on what you can control. We have to know that there are some things that we can't control, but a lot of the things we can. So for the things that we can't control, you just got to accept them and embrace them. And then with the things that we can control, focus on controlling them to the best of your ability. When pressure hits, it's easy to get in our head about the what ifs, and it goes to negative things. And we're so focused on the things that are out of our hands, out of our control. But this literally only adds to the stress. You've got to figure out and ask yourself, what am I in control of? What, like my attitude, my effort, those type of things, and control them. Narrow your focus on those types of things, again, like your attitude and your effort, and your actions will follow in that moment. By zeroing in on what you can directly influence, you can stay grounded and make better decisions under pressure. Tip number 2 is to break it down into small steps. When you're facing a big challenge or a high pressure moment, it can be super overwhelming to think about everything at once, the end goal that you have to get to. You don't want to be thinking about the end goal in that moment. You want to break everything down into small steps and focus on one step at a time. Think about if you look at a staircase as a kid and you've just learned to walk. Looking at the top of the staircase is going to be very overwhelming for you, but as a kid, you just look at one step at a time, and then by the end, you realize you're at the top. So another example of this is actually a story in the book that I just read. It's called It Takes What It Takes by Trevor Moawad. So if you're an athlete or just a business professional wanting to take control of your life and learn about the thought of neutral thinking, I highly recommend reading that book. But in the last chapter of that book, it actually tells a story about this soldier who was at a war, and he had about 11 guys with him. And the rest of these guys, they ended up passing away due to like a bombing, and he was the only one that survived. He was severely injured though from the bombing and just being shot. So because of these injuries, all he could do was crawl. He couldn't walk, he couldn't run. The only thing he could do was crawl. And the camp that he had to get to be safe, I think was about 7 miles away. And if you can only crawl, if you're just thinking about that camp when you're in this type of environment, that is so overwhelming that most would give up. But instead what he did is he got a stick and he would draw a line in the dirt. He'd pass that line, and then he'd draw another line in the dirt, and then pass that line. And all he was focused on in that moment was passing those lines. And he just drew one line at a time, crawl to it, draw another, crawl to it, until he got to that camp. And in that moment, that is a high pressure moment, but because he focused on just one step at a time and not the daunting end goal, he got to his end goal. So by doing something like this in your life, you can make this pressure more manageable. Lastly, tip number 3 is mental rehearsal. A lot of people still don't believe in this, unfortunately, but if you really do study Olympians and pro athletes, mostly all of them practice some type of mental rehearsal. One of the big ones is just visualization. That is one of the biggest techniques in the sports world, and still athletes aren't taking advantage of it, which I think is crazy. So if you are an athlete, please take advantage of that. But back to doing this in a high pressure situation, this is how it can help you in this. So before you face a high pressure situation, whether that's a game, whether that's a tournament, take a few moments to just close your eyes and imagine yourself succeeding. Imagine all the movements that you need to be. Imagine the smells that you would smell in that moment. Imagine the feelings that you would feel. Imagine the things that you would hear. Do you hear people cheering you on? Imagine all those little details. Get into all your senses, access all your senses in that moment, and visualize that happening in your head. And when you see yourself in this, I want you to see yourself handling it all with confidence. Having trust in your abilities and being able to play your game without thinking at all, because you just have so much confidence that your muscles feel loose, and you just trust in your abilities that when things happen, your body will respond in the right way. This mental preparation not only helps you gain more confidence, but also prepares your mind and body at your best when the moment comes. Because whether you believe it or not, science is science, and your mind and your body are connected. So you want to make sure that you're feeding your mind with the right thoughts and preparation so that your body can just trust in your mind and do what it needs to do. Because in a game, if you have to think about what you're gonna do while you're doing it, you're gonna have room for error and you're gonna mess up. You want to just be so good and and have so much repetition in your skill and have so much trust in it that you can just show up and perform. That's my 3 tips to handling pressure like a pro. Focus on what you can control, break it down into small steps, and practice mental rehearsal. Remember that pressure is a part of life. It's always gonna happen. You never know when it's gonna happen, so you wanna be prepared for when it comes. The way you handle it makes all the difference. So if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Share this video with any other athletes that you think could benefit from this. And remember that if you are a high school athlete and you found this beneficial, please go follow me on my other socials, reach out to me, and let's get something going. I love you guys so much. Keep being abundant and keep being elite.